All right, guys, I think we can kick off the space. I was just giving a few minutes to have a few more members of the community joining and tuning in to contribute to the conversation. I know that we have a few creators, Web3 creators here in the space as well. I see Crypto Fatty. So Horizen team, if you guys can start pulling them up, that would be great. But today's space team is exploring New Horizon, Web3's modular proof verification layer. Really excited to hear and learn from the Horizen team about New Horizon. From my background, if you guys don't know me, my name is Dani Passos. I am the founder of Lead DevRel together with Sabrina, who's here in the audience. Hi, Sabrina. And I lead all developer relations efforts as head of DevRel at Hype Partners, a Web3 agency. And I'm a big fan and partner of Horizen overall as a community and also as a new tech stack. I would love to hear and get a quick introduction from Rob, John, and Diego as well.
All right, Danny, I'll just dive right in and then we can pass it around. But I'm Rob Viglione. I'm co-founder of Horizen itself and the CEO, co-founder of Horizen Labs. And I guess my background was I came into this industry as an early Bitcoiner, just really drawn to the idea of programmable money, like the Andreas Antonopoulos, lessons that he was giving back in the day about why Bitcoin's important. And I was a military scientist before, a physicist, mathematician in my earlier career. And I dove into cryptocurrency or Bitcoin back then, just kind of being hands-on, just trying to get out there in the community and literally putting up flyers on a military base that I was on in Afghanistan at the time, teaching people like seminars on what is Bitcoin, how do you set up wallets, do transactions, and all that. Um, and just staying involved with the crypto community over the years, from that career that I had to then going back into academia and studying actually crypto finance, so Bitcoin and crypto assets from with my doctorate. I saw the gap in the market back then that for me was meaningful, which is on the privacy side of the industry, which I know is something that's been controversial in Horizen's history. But when we launched as a project with ZEN Cash back in 2017, or when we started working on it more appropriately in 2016, it was an issue. It was an issue that people cared about in the community. And maybe even more so than the privacy application was the idea that we can take this cryptography of being able to put things on chain in a public forum, but actually preserve privacy. Now, we started off like others, like Zcash, back then, dealing with coin privacy. We've since completely pivoted away from that for a variety of different reasons, just also from the fact that, hey, Zcash is awesome and highly endorse them all the time. And there are others in the market. If that's the function you're looking for, there are players out there that do really well. And I think that we need to always think like entrepreneurs and how can we add value to this broader Web3 movement with what we have, with our community, with our technology, our skills and resources. And that's where, over the years, we've pivoted from privacy coin to then building out an interoperability protocol using the same technology, ZK snarks or zero knowledge proofs, to not competing that successfully there, to be honest, which is what brought about this recent pivot to what we're temporarily calling New Horizon, and will probably just be called Horizen when we roll it out and migrate or pivot completely. But it has nothing to do with coin privacy, and it's about solving this very real problem in Web3 today, which is on the escalating cost of zero knowledge proofs on chain, but also the escalating function and purpose and just the need for ZK proofs on chain. So what we have here, we're really excited to present. We've been kind of trickling out information about this New Horizon modular blockchain that we're rolling out very soon, at least the first milestone to testnet. And I won't spill all those beans here. I know this was a long intro, but there's a lot in our history that we can talk about, and that points to how we got to where we are now and why we're a very competent, capable team to do what we know needs to be done in this segment of the industry today. But I'll pass it over. So I don't know who wants to go next. Maybe John, since you're next up in my queue here.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate the intro. So hey, everybody, I'm John Camardo. I lead the product team at Horizen Labs. Quick background about myself. I graduated from Cornell with a degree in engineering and joined a large commercial bank in the United States as my first role out of college. Found my way toward data analytics and ultimately product management. I don't know if everybody can see my picture on my profile, but that's a picture of me at the horse racing track. I'm kind of a degen. And during the pandemic, was really looking for a switch so I could switch in jobs so I could sort of flex my degenerate tendencies. And ended up finding cryptocurrency, ended up finding Horizen Labs. And I joined the company about 3 years ago as a product manager, worked on a variety of the different projects that we've sort of accomplished over time, like um, ApeCoin launch, other deeds launch, things like that. And now I'm sort of leading the charge on this new Horizen initiative, which we'll very much get into through the rest of the conversation. But I'll kind of put a pin in that for now and pass it over to Diego to kind of round out the round of intros.
Thanks, John. First of all, I just want to say I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, I'm Diego Alvarez. I'm part of the product marketing team, and I've been with Horizen Labs for about a year and 4 months now. My main tasks typically include crafting messaging, go-to-market strategies, and conducting the behind-the-scenes research for key projects like Eon and the New Horizon Initiative. And if you've tuned into our past Twitter spaces, you've probably heard about our renewed approach to tech development, where we're putting a strong emphasis on research and understanding market needs. And actually, I was Horizen Labs' first product marketing hire, and now I'm part of like a small but dedicated team. And I believe that having a team focused on understanding market trends and needs really demonstrates our commitment to this renewed approach. Before HL, I spent a couple years in the Web3 and crypto space. Began during my master's degree at Copenhagen Business School. There, I completed an interdisciplinary program focused on the intersection of technology, business, and society, and it culminated in a thesis that explored DAOs as like a disruptive organizational form. During my studies, I was part of the CBS Blockchain Society and also worked at a fintech company that provided payment accounts to crypto businesses in the EU, which is really where I started to develop this passion for decentralized technologies, which led me to join Web3 full-time after graduating from this master's degree. So yeah, thanks.
Really fascinating backgrounds. Thank you guys for sharing. I'm really curious and really keen to learn from you. So it's a pleasure to have you all here, and thanks for accepting the invite to host this space and explore a little bit more on New Horizon together with me and also all the developers who may be here together with us in the audience. So I have a list of questions here for you guys. I'm really curious about New Horizon. So we saw the update regarding New Horizons and its new concept. Rob, can you please share a little bit more background on how this new pivot, this new direction came about, and also what it does mean for the broader Web3 ecosystem and also for Web3 new dApps being built on top of New Horizon?
For sure, great question. And I have to caveat, guys, I didn't look at any of the questions in advance because I want to be authentic. So let's here's the authentic answer is I don't think we were, as a community here with Horizen, I don't think we were competing in the last mission that we had on this like ZK sidechain mission effectively. And the reality is, if more of Web3 was familiar with like a ZK, a ZK version of Cosmos or Polkadot, that would have been us, and we just didn't compete in that way, and the market moved on us. So what we had though, which was like a really kind of a light bulb moment, was this technology that we've been building over the years actually was novel in that it included a proof verifier. It's basically the ability to verify zero knowledge proofs on chain, like in our consensus. So every block that was mined on the Horizen network, and as of today, or I mean, as of technically some years ago, but the system in production today verifies ZK proofs. So natively, every miner that's out there runs the software and verifies ZK proofs. So then we were thinking, okay, we already do this. No one else is doing it. And how does this map to a relevant problem in Web3? And this was just looking at the market and seeing where it was going and the explosion of rollups. In particular, the explosion of rollups on Ethereum, so these L2s, and like what was relevant for us and the big L2 explosion on Ethereum were these ZK rollups that were exploding there as well. So you can think of about ZK rollups using like Polygon's technology, ZK Sync, using Starkware, and others as well. And it just looked like this is a really big important trend, and the cost of verifying ZK proofs on chain has been exploding such that finally it's big enough for a market to exist. So mapping where we had come, what we had, and the skills and capabilities and team that we had as well, and the technology that we'd built, we were thinking, or just the light bulb moment was, wow, we can actually repurpose this thing, strip it down, focus only on what's exactly relevant and what matters to Web3 today, like solving a real problem, which was this escalating cost of proof verification on chain. So that's like kicked off this really big aha moment for us and large effort to, like Horizen Labs actually was working on this for months, where we did like prototyping competitions internally and just, like going over and over iteratively on a design for something that was just
So I
really
don't think I have to spend
compelling.
any time today
Oh, and
either
someone's
on
unmuted
what
there.
Ethereum was built for or why we're all here in this room. I think the truth that we can all agree on is that Ethereum and its ecosystem have grown faster than it could scale.
Dappa
And
Dan,
while
can you
that's
hear
a
me?
beautiful thing, it has also led us to the world we're in today, which
I'm
is
listening
the
to this.
roll-up-centric future or the roll-up-centric.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, hey, that was good stuff, because that was supporting exactly what I was saying. Was this explosion of these execution layers on like these rollups on Ethereum? We're solving a real problem of congestion on Ethereum, but still, like, it's not only solving the congestion on Ethereum. It's this technology that can actually generate proofs of proofs of proofs on on blockchains and settle those proofs onto a settlement layer. So anyway, just to long story short, since that and kind of added to it, or changed the pace a little bit, was we ended up rolling out this idea to the community only recently, like, and officially, I think like early in the year, we officially went out there with like a ZEN idea of, do we want to pivot everything that we're doing to solve this one specific problem? And yes, it's on Ethereum, but it actually leads to a much bigger ecosystem of like doing something really useful in Web3. But then also we can settle natively in Horizen if we add a settlement layer in there into the stack. And that's more of like a roadmap that will be evolving over time. But just to say how we got to where we are right now was just looking at the market and how it was changing and realizing we have to change with it if we want to be relevant.
This was a great response, Rob. Thank you so much for it. Really complete overview. So I appreciate learning from you and from your perspective here. Um, and now, John, I would love to know as well, from a Web3 product standpoint, what trends and kind of like new initiatives do you foresee and see as a being further solidified with this pivot?
Yeah, unlike Rob, I actually read the questions, but I didn't prepare for answers, so these are all genuine and off the cuff as well. Um, so in any case, I guess there's kind of like two major things that are kind of things that we were looking at as we were in the process of pivoting. The first is this big move toward modularization, and I guess the subcomponent here is, like there being a ton of congestion on Ethereum, pricing becoming very, very, very high to do like very basic things like swap one token for another. And so modularization as a sort of solution to that. And then the second is this kind of renewed focus on zero knowledge and in particular ZK rollups. So these two kind of things are really what is driving the thought process behind trying to modularize yet another component of this ZK rollup stack, which is proof verification. And so Diego will probably get into this a little bit, but we've actually spent quite a bit of time as a company now going out and speaking to people in the market and trying to, validate that these are the right things for us to be thinking about and helping us generate the correct solutions so that we can actually make an impact on this market. And so far, with all the people that we've spoken to, and it's been a pretty wide range of folks, we've gotten quite a bit of validation that these are kind of like the mega trends that we should be focusing on, and really gave us a lot of conviction that this was the correct pivot that we should be making as a company. So yeah, I guess those two major things are really, in Web3, what the trends are that we're seeing that made us want to pivot.
Thanks for sharing, John. And even in this pivot, what role do you actually envision New Horizon actually playing in advancing the adoption and evolution of Horizon's ecosystem? For example, like Ian that Diego mentioned a while back.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing I'll do is plug. I actually kicked off this conversation in our Discord yesterday in the general channel. So I encourage everybody who is either in there to go back and look at that, or if you're not in there, please join and come to the general chat and kind of take a look at that. But I guess to kind of answer the question directly, I think this New Horizon concept really creates an interesting opportunity, not only to verify proofs that are maybe coming from rollups that exist in Ethereum, but also kind of create an environment where rollups could exist on their own in the Horizen ecosystem. And things like Eon could actually provide a blockchain like Eon, which is a general purpose EVM chain, could be a really interesting link that all of these rollups need to essentially gain access to liquidity. We've hit a couple of cool milestones recently with our TVL and on Eon and the amount of ZEN that's locked in Eon. And we only expect that to grow, especially as we continue to add partners and integrations to Eon. And so one thing that we're thinking about is essentially as more TVL accumulates there, as more tokens are living on Eon, those could be a great source for layer 2 rollups, ZK rollups that might exist in Horizen to source liquidity from, and frankly onboard users in maybe a much simpler way. So that's kind of, I guess, the long way of saying how Eon might be impacted by this New Horizon vision.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And Diego, you from the product side, can you elaborate a little bit further on the concept of a modular proof verification layer and its significance for scalability and cost effectiveness for ZK rollups and app chains? And before passing on the mic to you, guys, if you're here in the audience and if you have any questions for the Horizen team about New Horizon, Eon, and other products, please feel free to drop them in the comments here or request to speak, and I'll pull you up so you can ask the questions to the team as well.
Sure, thanks, Danny. I wish I could say I was doing this as off the cuff as the other two, but I'm not quite as confident as a speaker as them, so still have my notes to go off. But yeah, I'll start by kind of giving a little context about modular blockchains. And the modular blockchain systems are essentially ones in which each blockchain can specialize in specific functions rather than trying to do everything all at once. So now within this context, we're focusing on a really specific piece called proof verification. This involves confirming that ZK proofs generated by rollups and applications are in fact valid. And so what we're building can be thought of as a blockchain dedicated solely to checking ZK proofs and confirming they're legitimate. By separating this from the rest of the blockchain operations, we believe it'll make it, or we know it'll make it more efficient and cost effective. And just like we've seen the industry adopt dedicated blockchains for performing execution and data availability functions, we believe that it will adopt this technology that is the blockchain, the first blockchain specifically dedicated for verifying proofs. This has the potential to collapse the costs of proof verification by up to 90%. And so that really has the potential to impact the scalability and cost effectiveness of both ZK rollups as well as other applications that produce proofs. The reason why this is so important is because currently verifying proofs is really expensive and volatile because it's done on blockchains that weren't really designed for this and have a bunch of different activities that are competing for block space and computational resources. So by creating a specialized blockchain for this, we're making the process of verifying ZK proofs less expensive and more predictable. And what this means for ZK rollups and other app chains applications that produce ZK proofs is that they will become more affordable and performant while also taking some strain off of other blockchains like Ethereum, which are currently bogged down by the heavy computational load of proof verification in addition to all the other tasks that they need to perform. So overall, this should make the whole industry more scalable and efficient. Yep. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you so much for responding. And now I'd love to open the question for everyone here in the speaker panel. How do you guys see Horizen integrating with existing ZK rollups in app chains as it stands right now?
Maybe I'll just be the I'll take a stab at it, and I'll just say it's a work in progress in terms of we want every ZK proof to, or at least every ZK rollup to verify their proof with us. At the end of the day, that's our goal, right? That's our big vision. And then going even beyond rollups, other types of ZK proofs for different types of dApps, we would also like to verify those proofs with us. It's going to be a long road to get there, a lot of work, a lot of grit, and also some luck to get the industry to adopt this. I mean, basically, if I had to compare our go-to-market, it would be very analogous to, say, Celestia going to market and trying to convince people to offload their data availability, their DA, to them. And then it's the same thing for us. Now, we just started this process. I mean, as a community, we just voted in the approval of the system. We're just talking about getting the the first milestone to like a test net in the near future. So it's going to be a long process. But what I can say is we're being very aggressive. Maybe we're ramping up the aggression of our go-to-market to bring in the right partners. It's kind of a balancing act in the sense that you don't want to go, get a bunch of people to sign up to use our system and the system's not ready to use yet. But we are in active talks with other rollups, from the the core companies that launch those systems to the other independent rollup operators, to rollup as a service providers, and to some applications to see if they would consider using the service or see what they think about it. We're getting good feedback, so I'm optimistic on it, but it's going to be quite an effort to convince the industry to move over to us. But that's that's the vision that we have. And maybe John, if you want to chime in and add some more context there, because I know you're knee deep in all these conversations, and Diego as well is running user interviews and talking to a lot of other people that could be potential users.
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe answer this in a much different way and not even talk about the go-to-market and not talk about who we're talking to. I'm gonna just kind of say, like, as a product and engineering team, our mandate is to enable ZK rollups and or app chains or ZK applications to integrate as simply as possible. There should be very, very minimal to no lift required from the rollup app chain or ZK app end. And so I guess what I'm saying is, like, expect us to be, I guess, incredibly focused on delivering the most elegant and easy experience for these apps to integrate, so that there's very, very little barrier to them doing so, and really only upside for them doing so. I think one of the things that we've learned over the past 3 years that I've been here is that blockchain space is very confusing, especially for new people, and we need to do our best to make sure that our products are adopted, and a major piece and component of doing that is just making it super straightforward and simple and elegant for these applications to integrate. So I guess I'm not answering that as directly as I probably could, but I think it's important to call that out and really point out the shift in mindset that we have with this. And Diego, I'm sure, will talk about the interview process, but that's essentially what we're formulating all of the like product and feature decisions on, is like who are the people we're building for, and what are they expecting? How are we going to get this as easily in their hands as possible?
Thanks, John. I'll take over from there. So, as the other two previously mentioned, we've been pretty extensively out in the market, conducting both user interviews with potential customers as well as distribution partners. And what we've seen is that there is a lot of interest in ZK rollups right now, but a lot of these frameworks are pretty new, so there hasn't been too many projects deployed at in production yet. So what we think and what we're seeing is that there is a lot of demand for a solution like this, because right now, so far, um, optimistic rollups have really had the advantage on kind of the performance and cost side, as well as the simplicity. So there is a lot of demand for solutions like this that'll make ZK rollups more cost effective as well as easier to deploy. And so there is we've seen quite a bit of interest already. So
That is great. I'm really curious to even see like a little bit more about the new applications that can be built on Horizen, all the upcoming events and community events that you guys are going to launch to promote and push Horizen to more developers, and bring adoption through new applications and interactions being built, but also uh, having those developers pushing their products to, let's say, new communities and having consumer adoption to them. So talking a little bit more about the modular component of New Horizen, I know it is a huge topic in discussion from a developer standpoint. We're always trying to address the big trilemma between scalability, security, and decentralization when talking about monolithic blockchains. But I'd love to hear from all the three of you guys. How do you guys envision the coexistence between modular and monolithic blockchains, and where does Horizen fit in this whole perspective?
All right, in keeping to our sequence here, I'll just chime in. I think Web3 is going to follow the exact same trend that every other field of technology has followed thus far, which is some innovation happens, and then you can kind of view that innovation in its early form, kind of containing all of the elements that are needed to make it work. And then there's specialization. It happens everywhere all the time, and I don't see any reason to think that that won't happen in Web3. In fact, it is exactly the trend that we're seeing. So the vision that I have, that I think everyone here shares, is we're going to have increasing specialization in Web3, and what that means, and the terminology we use, is modularization. So there's, just like setting up a website, you're using probably a dozen or more different services to make that website function. That's exactly what it's going to be like when you deploy some sort of blockchain data structure in the future. You're going to be pulling in different services that specialists like us are providing, specialists like Celestia are providing, right? That's the vision we have now. For sure, there are going to be some people and some chains that want to stick to the old way of, it's just, their choice. But I guess my point is, we're just going to have increasing choices as an industry, and developers are going to have those increasing choices to get their products to market as efficiently as they possibly can. And with specialization comes modernization, because when you specialize, you just get really good at doing that one thing. So it's kind of, from a competitive posture, almost impossible to be the best at everything. So I think it makes sense for every entrepreneur and developer out there, think about exactly what innovation you're bringing to market, what its function is, what you think that kind of winning or core value proposition is, and focus on that. And this is something that I learned probably the hard way in this industry, is don't try to do everything. That never works. And I think the best, as just kind of competitive pressures in our industry as they go, projects and developers are going to be specializing at what they do best and basically offloading everything else to those who specialize in each of those components. So I very much see a mixed future, but where the most competitive projects are those that leverage the best, optimized components and fit them together in unique ways and focus on just exactly what matters for their particular use case.
So I actually yesterday in our internal Slack channel wrote something about not doing everything ourselves. So I think, Rob, that might be like plagiarism.
I honestly learn from you every day, John.
If you,
every day.
In any case, I guess to get to the answer to the question, yeah, I guess like if you look at the solution that we've defined, we're essentially kind of putting a stake in the ground and saying we see a coexistence, at least in the near term, between modular and monolithic blockchains, right? Like the fact that monolithic blockchains face the sort of dilemmas that they face in terms of congestion, in terms of data availability, whatever the case may be, like that's created an opportunity for us to create a solution. So I guess we very much envision a world where these things certainly coexist. But to Rob's point, like there is always going to be, like probably a better way to build something if it's specialized in doing what it's built to do, rather than trying to do everything all at once. So I do imagine that there will be a continued sort of trajectory toward modular blockchains and kind of away from monolithic blockchains. But I'm not sure that there needs to be like I'm not sure that monolithic blockchains will ever become extinct. And I do see a world where they both could coexist kind of long term.
Yeah, building off what both Rob and John said, I think that they gave a pretty great overview. But I would say even I think that as we see this trend towards modularization kind of accelerate, some of these monolithic blockchains might even start to kind of resemble modular blockchains as more of these kind of functionalities are outsourced to more specialized chains. They might evolve and kind of find a new area to focus on. So like they said, I don't think there is necessarily like one or the other, but we could kind of see the evolution of monolithic blockchains to start even to resemble modular blockchains in the future.
For sure. Again, guys, if you're here in the audience, have any questions or any points to contribute to the overall conversation here, please feel free to reply to this conversation with a question. I see that we actually do have a question here from the audience, which is, hey, I have a question. Will New Horizen have a new website like newhorizen.io?
I can maybe jump in really quickly there. Like the
Sure.
current Horizen.io website, I'm not sure if everyone's noticed, but over the past 2 weeks has undergone quite a considerable amount of change. So I don't know that we're necessarily going to change the URL, but you can expect like a very significant revamp of that website, Horizen.io, to reflect the current vision, the current roadmap for New Horizen, and all of that kind of thing.
And let me just add, so first of all, like the whole thing will be redesigned as well. There's a redesign going on beyond just the kind of language changes that have already been updated there, so it's relevant to what we're doing now. But even the idea of New Horizen, I alluded to this before, we're calling it New Horizen right now, is sort of maybe a not super creative code name for this project. But at the end of the day, it's probably just going to be Horizen, right? So we're not going to need like a New Horizen.io, it'll just be Horizen.io.
That's fair. And we also have Mr. Hype here together with us in the speaker panel. How are you doing? If you can give us a quick introduction to all the listeners here of our space, that would be great. And thanks for tuning in and joining us.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, I'm proud of Horizon Labs, to be honest. With your execution that you chose to go to the rollups and the vision that you came through, I think that's something that can many other entrepreneurs can adopt, but that's an interesting approach from Horizen Labs. And I just joined into the Exploring a New Horizon, and to be honest, I'm came from the ApeCoin community, and when I recently get into the introduction with the team and understood the rationale about the the vision that Horizen actually trying to do, and I'm happy that Horizen is actually taking the lead with ApeChain as well. I think that's exciting. I do have two questions. One of them is the recent news that we just got about the EIP 4844, how it will be affect about Horizon Eon or any other rollups from your angles. And one more thing, Rob, maybe for you, what is the vision that you actually want to include AI with layer 2 and execution with Horizon?
Let's so Mr. Hype, love that you came over here from the ape community. That's really cool to see that link. Because I mean, all along, like what I can tell you is our best the best outcome of the work that Horizon Labs has been doing is to create kind of unified communities over time. So it's really cool to see that starting here. Now AI, I'll take that one real quick, and I'll leave the harder EIP one to John or Diego. But we are for sure tracking the Ethereum roadmap closely. So we're looking at how the different upgrades are going to be impacted what we're doing. I'm just not sure which one that is by referencing the number. In terms of AI, like the way I look at it is blockchains serve a particular function. I could say what I personally would love to see with AI and crypto the most is like just the way that I manage my call it like TradFi portfolio is I don't, right? I literally got my PhD in finance and I refuse to manage my own portfolio. What I do is I park all my money in an account and I have algorithms run it for me, just kind of efficiently allocate and just put in some certain parameters and just let it run. And it'll run that way, efficiently rebalancing it towards my retirement and beyond, right? That's the kind of thing I want to see in Web3 as far as AI is concerned. Now, that doesn't really have anything to do with what we're doing with New Horizon right now, other than like we're supporting the advancement of Web3 and we're making it much more cost effective for the industry to proliferate, especially for the ZK component of the industry. But I would love to see something just like I said, where you've got like AI just managing all of my crypto for me. Like, and I know not your keys, not your crypto, right? But I mean, I'll manage the keys. That's fine, and kind of subdelegate to bots as needed. But I have nowhere near enough time to even look at what's going on Eon right now, let alone on Arbitrum and Polygon and every other chain where you've got DeFi to figure out how I should, allocate my own portfolio. So I would love to see. I think AI has a lot that it can offer to our industry. I would view that as a distinct but complementary technology to what we're building, and like we're specifically just focusing on making ZK much more cost effective with this particular solution. Now, how that plays in and interacts with AI in the future is a little TBD. I know that ZEN, our CTO, was listening in. I think he still is, and I know he's kind of directing our engineers to use Copilot and other AI code what would we call them, kind of like augmenters, right? Use AI to help augment our team's productivity, and we just keep getting more productive. So it's there, it's kind of in our stack of how we do things, but there isn't like, New Horizon is an AI specific chain or anything like that. But great question. And now on to the EIP question. Who wants to handle that one? I gave you enough time to research it.
Oh, I knew it already, Rob. But thank you
Of course.
for going on a little bit too long. No, it's okay. So proto like EIP 4844, for everyone that doesn't know, I actually think it may be implemented as of, or is coming very, very soon, is really an answer, sort of in response to this like data availability problem. So I think it's like almost entirely unrelated to New Horizon concept. We're trying to focus on a different part of the modular stack. But I don't think that was actually the question. The question was more related to how does this relate to Eon? With respect to Eon, like we don't actually have a data availability problem yet. So I think this is going to need to be balanced with the variety of other things that we need to do. I mean, I'm very hopeful that we're going to run into a data availability problem that'll actually signal that we've had like quite a bit of success with Eon, and that we have, you know, rollups that want to store their data on Eon and all that kind of thing, but we're just not quite there yet. So I think the answer is, you know, we're monitoring all of the EIPs that go through Ethereum and other improvements, but need to prioritize a number of other things prior to addressing, you know, implementing those immediately. So that's not to say we'll never do it, but it's just not on the like immediate short-term roadmap.
Yeah, jumping in there, I can kind of build on what John was saying, but actually the EIP 4844 was live as of yesterday, and if anything, I think it actually makes it more like makes there more demand for a solution like what we're building with New Horizon, because it's just going to make rollups in general more attractive, and so making it easier to deploy rollups and making them now that there's not as much of a focus on data availability costs, they can look elsewhere for cost reduction. And so like a solution like this where we're collapsing the cost of proof verification is a new place where they can focus on cost savings. So if anything, it really is complementary kind of to what we're working on now.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for responding. Mr. Hype, I'm curious to see if you have any other questions. I know that we also have a question over here from the chat. Um, Let me bring this one up. Team, can we please hear more about Forger nodes and the rewards it comes together with it?
I'll do it like a super high level overview, but this is like, I guess like a little bit divergent from the New Horizon topic. And I believe, I think this is related to Eon. So let me, I guess, address that really quickly. So Forger nodes on Eon obviously are entitled to receiving transaction fees as rewards for the blocks that they forge. As of last Monday, Horizen essentially ended the payment to secure nodes, and going forward from last Monday onward, the 10% of the block reward from Horizen is now going to be forward transferred into Eon and then going to be distributed proportionally to forgers based on the number of blocks they have forged in the prior reward period. The reward period will be on essentially a weekly, roughly basis. If you have any other questions about that, again, like I want this to be focused on New Horizon. Please feel free to hit me up in Discord, or I mean, frankly, you can even DM me if you want on Twitter, but I prefer Discord. Happy to answer any further questions that you have on that.
Amazing, John. Thanks for covering that one. And rolling back into New Horizon, I'd love to hear from all of you guys. How does New Horizon plan to incentivize overall adoption from the developer community and blockchain overall community, right? So particularly when talking about the needs of layer 2 solutions and ZK rollups. And additionally, can you guys tell us, especially myself as a developer from this end here, how can we developers and also different projects, different teams get involved with New Horizon? I'd love to hear a little bit more about any details on the roadmap and key milestones, but we can take these two questions one step at a time.
It's a deep question, and I noticed the other guys that, for once, John didn't just chime in right away with more wisdom. But I'll tell you, maybe the background is like as I'm thinking about it, because I do think that Horizen has to think a little bit more deeply about developer incentives, and we are, and that's really happening on Eon today. And just as we think about New Horizon is the focus of New Horizon is a proof verification layer, like a modular blockchain, but we have a broader Horizen ecosystem, and that ecosystem includes Eon, which is the execution layer for us, where you do smart contracting, ZEN's the gas. And on that, we're rolling out a grant program in the very near future. I'm not sure the current status and when it's going live, but there's been a lot of thought going into it. And then the problem that we have is ZEN is, this is a problem and a good thing, is that ZEN's been around for a while, since 2017 when the project launched. And we launched with the tokenomics literally of Bitcoin, or Zcash back then, which mimicked Bitcoin. So you've got this 21 million ZEN cap, and its emission curve is just like Bitcoin, just normalized for block frequency that we have. And 2/3 of that has already been mined. So the good news is a completely like what we call a fair coin launch, and that no one received any special allocations, and every Zen that exists today has been mined. That's a really good thing for a variety of reasons in terms of like staying power, regulatory risk, and all these other things. But it's the industry has evolved a lot since we've been live in 2017, and you have very more modern blockchain ecosystems that have been focusing on developer incentives and have designed their tokenomics to support developer growth and like liquidity growth and other things that, again, modern chains today want and need that didn't exist back in 2017. So this is why the community has been talking about, like, are we going to modify our tokenomics with New Horizon, or are we going to do something with tokenomics on Eon so that we can actually have more explicit dev incentives and like liquidity incentives that go beyond what we can do with a very constrained Zen supply that is fixed, like it's programmatic, it's out there, and only a third of it for the next 80 years will be emitting. So it's something where we need to really think about this as a community. And I can say at least we're taking, like, the way we work with things is take immediate action, do something now that matters, and that's where we're rolling out a grant program. But then think deeply about what we can do longer term to make this as competitive of an ecosystem as possible. Now, the final thing is when it comes to New Horizons specifically, that proof verification layer, how do we incentivize other rollups or other dApps to use it? Well, the first incentive is we can save them like 90% of their cost of verification. So that's the first incentive, right? We don't have to pay them to use the service. Like they use it and they cut their bill for verification 90%. So that's a good thing. But would we want to do something in the tokenomics to have additional incentives just so to build our competitive moat, to make it even harder for other people to just copy what we're doing and roll out a competing service? I don't know, but these are all questions that as a community we really have to dive into. But I think we can all agree that getting devs building in our ecosystem is absolutely key, and getting liquidity into the ecosystem is really important.
Yeah, Rob stole all the good answers, so I'll just say I agree with all of that stuff, and it's essentially like what I'm spending 75 to 90% of my time on right now is thinking through like what is the new world look like for incentives, for rewards, for tokenomics, and all that kind of thing. Very much top of mind for all of us here.
So even from a community perspective as well, and as we prepare to close up the space, what kind of new applications are you guys excited to see being built on New Horizon? Are there any special events, hackathons, meetups that we should be excited about? And any insights on how us developers can collaborate together with the team to learn more about it, get an inside scoop or tips about New Horizon and so on?
Yeah, so I guess a lot there, and I'm gonna go first, Rob, this time, so you can think about.
I was hoping that Diego would go, but I mean, yeah, by all means, John.
I'll just say a couple of quick things and get out of the way. Essentially, the milestones to look forward to at end of March will be the delivery of a New Horizon testnet that's sort of like minimum viable product, showing the journey from roll-up transactions getting bundled into a batch, that batch being having a proof created for it, that proof going to New Horizon, proof being verified on New Horizon, and then an attestation sent back to Ethereum. So you'll be able to see that. We're going to put out a video, and you'll be able to look at all the explorers for all of that in the next 2 weeks. Beyond that, and in terms of getting more involved from a developer point of view, the subsequent milestones will all be about opening up the network and allowing the opportunity for people to join the testnet as a potentially a forger, a block forger. I think there's a significant opportunity for people to maybe deploy their own ZK rollups in like an Ethereum testnet and have it utilize the New Horizon system. So we're going to certainly put out some ideas on how people can get involved, and very excited to see what everyone kind of comes up with respect to that. And I'll put Diego on the spot and see if he has anything to add now.
Yeah, thanks, John. I think you did a pretty good job covering it. Like you said, this first one will be kind of more of a almost like a demo. But as we kind of after we release this, there will be more opportunities for developers to get involved. So if anyone has any interest, please reach out to us. We want to hear any inputs you have, questions, and we want to incorporate kind of any feedback you have throughout the product development process. So yeah, just feel free to engage with any of us here at Horizen Labs, and yeah, we're excited to work with the developers in the community.
Amazing, Diego. No, all the developers and even myself as well. I'm excited to see more about New Horizon, potentially build some sample applications and also spread the word to my developer communities. And I have one last question from the audience here before we close the space up. I don't know which one of you guys would like to take this on, but how important are NFTs on Horizon's future plans?
I mean, I'll take that. I'm sure we all have thoughts on it, but especially I see one of my favorite collections on the call here. I don't know if I should name the name of the collection, but like I think NFTs are an absolutely critical component of Web3. Obviously, I mean, I'm coming from Horizon Labs, and we've worked with some of the hottest NFT projects out there. I think they're key, and I think like everything we talked about here with New Horizon is about specializing in a very specific component of Web3 and like lowering the cost of ZK proofs on chain. But yeah, that doesn't speak to like all those other things of why should people be on chain in the first place. I think NFTs are a huge driving component there. They reflect many different use cases and art and like utilities that I think we're just even today starting to learn and understand. So anyway, highly like I'm excited to get more NFTs natively in our own ecosystem, and that's where Eon comes in, and we have some collections there, like a couple, like a few of them, literally only a few of them, but I think the quality is pretty amazing. So anyway, I don't know if the other guys have thoughts there.
I was just going to use this as an opportunity to, yeah, I mean, like I was an NFT collector during the like crazy 2021, 2022 times. I think they're awesome. I think that there is a significant role they can play on Eon in particular right now, and like would love to see people kind of create their own collections. I would collect anything that anybody puts out there. I think the big thing is we want to see growth in Eon, and so this maybe is a call to action for everybody to get on Eon, mint a collection, get in any of our community channels, promote, and we'll see what we can do all together to kind of boost the growth of the platform overall.
Darn, John, you stole my Eon NFT plug. So I'll leave it at that.
Guys, thank you so much for answering all the questions I had, the community had, and brought to us as well. I had a lot of fun hosting this space together with you and learning more from you, Rob, John, Diego. Thank you for the participation here up here as well, Mr. Hype. It's a pleasure to have you as part of the community together with us. And the space is being recorded, so if you missed any parts of it, go back to the tweets. You can find it on Horizon Labs uh, community and also on their X feeds. And thank you again for being here. Thank you for contributing to the overall Horizon community, and looking forward to hosting more spaces together with the Horizon team and with the three of you as well, guys.
Dan, how about a huge thanks to you? You did an awesome job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.